do people from the Netherlands live abroad in New York? How do they live and work in the city that never sleeps? That's the question to which this NL Club NYC podcast will give you the answers. Here are your hosts, Eric and Mark.
Hello and welcome everybody to the new episode of the podcast from the NL Club. My name is Eric van der Zanden, and today is my privilege to speak with somebody who I didn't speak with for quite a while. He played a very big role in my life when I was a kid. It's my pleasure to introduce to you all the one and only Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas, are you here? Sinterklaas?
On my way.
Oh, there he is. Hello.
Hello, Eric.
Thanks.
How are things in Manhattan today?
Oh, Manhattan is beautiful as always. Just turning dark out, but it's beautiful out here. How are you doing? It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a quite an adventure this year. But happy to be here in the United States for a little bit. Yeah, and it's quite an honor to be on. What is it? It's not TV, right? It's podcast. I think all this mod stuff.
We're live, so we could see it as TV. People can watch us live. The live stream is on. I can see some people are already responding in the chat. Yeah, so we're live, but you can also look it back later. But thank you so much for. We know you have a very busy schedule. Thank you so much for making some time for us. I gotta say, you look great. You look exactly like you did 20 years ago. What is your secret? How do you do it? How do you stay young?
Well, it's of course. Hey, listen, we come from Spain every year. It's almost like you American people are. You go to Florida for the winter. I'm I come from Spain. It's a beautiful country. It's very relaxing there. So, just relax and once it's time to start prepping for the big party and the feast of Sinterklaas in the Netherlands, then it gets a little busy. But on the whole, I try to keep active and not worry about things too much.
That's great. That's great. So you're in the US. You're going to be in New York today and on Saturday. So you are a big icon in the Netherlands, but here in the US, not everybody might know who you are. If people ask you, if you run into someone on the street or maybe on the roofs, how do you explain who you are and what you do?
Well, it's a bit of a long story, to be honest. It started about 400 years ago when, I was the Bishop of Myra in southern Turkey. And, at some point, I left Turkey to settle in Madrid. The reason the feast as we know it developed was, I've always been a patron saint for the poor and, especially giving money to poor families so that they could afford a dowry to wed their daughters. I rescued some little children from an awful death in a swamp. Um, but especially, the giving part originated there. And well, it evolved over the eons, of course, over the centuries. And now every year, because I love Holland, when I came there shortly after the 80-year war, I guess. I love Holland, and so I decided that every year I would come there on the eve of my birthday, celebrate the birthday with all the children there, and give them presents in the spirit of that old giving that I started 400 years ago.
I see. I see. So can I compare you to like the Dutch? Are you the Dutch equivalent of Santa Claus, or are you two related?
We definitely are. We originate from the same time frame, time period, and you can see Santa as kind of my American cousin. He moved. I stayed in warmer climates, and he moved to the North Pole, so he would be closer to the United States and Canada, where Christmas is celebrated bigger than it in the Netherlands. And in the Netherlands, we always kept it at the eve of my birthday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so December 5th, because your birthday is actually on December 6th. So December 5th is the big evening where you bring around the gifts. But
Correct,
the week
correct. And
before
then
that,
that's another nice
yeah.
parallel with the American Santa. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, he of course has his reindeer and his sled. I have my white horse that I ride, and he's kind of magical too because we are able to get onto the roofs and get the packages through the chimney. One of the other traditions is that before it is actually the eve of my birthday, the Dutch children are allowed to put their shoes in the fireplace,
Hmm.
and I come by with some helpers that I have, and we go by every chimney and presents in those shoes. And of course, it's really nice if the children put some carrots and some hay or so, and a little water for the horse because
For the horse.
it's a hungry business for him.
Oh, yeah, I believe so. So there was and there was a lot going on this year. So we followed it, but your journey from Spain to the Netherlands, it didn't go exactly without trouble. I mean, it was almost nerve wracking to
It
see what
started out
happened.
it started out disastrous. So we were
Mhm.
on the boat because, well, here's the thing: we come with a steamboat every year from one of the ports in Spain to the Netherlands, so we choose a different port every time to arrive. And this time we had chosen Hellevoetsluis, which is near Rotterdam. I knew that my steamboat was getting a little old, so I had already ordered a new one, which was built in Hellevoetsluis, but it was still in the dry dock there. So yeah, at the last moment, things started going completely awry, and the boat actually sank. So fortunately, we
Oh,
could get everybody off board. All the
mhm.
presents we were able to salvage, and but it sank, and it's now sitting at the bottom of the Atlantic. So by good fortune, we also have a backup in the form of a plane called
Ah,
Heiligman 1, which loosely
uh-huh.
translates to Good Saint 1. Clearly, I couldn't take as many helpers with me as I usually can on boat, so there's a little shortage there. But no, we still managed to get there, and while arriving on an airport, the helpers were not used to it, so we never picked up our presents, and they were scattered all over the world because they got loaded on planes.
Oh, wow.
Fortunately, however, the new steamboat, came out of the dry dock, was christened, called the Stoneboat, the Steamboat, and
Mhm.
it is so fast. So in a couple of days, we managed to get all the presents back from all over the world where they were, and they are now safe in the warehouse that we keep it in the Netherlands in
Oh.
the package room there.
Ooh, yeah, that was quite thrilling, and you even had some time left to make it here to the US.
Well,
How
that was a lucky coincidence because a lot of the
Uh-huh.
presents were stuck in New York actually.
Ah,
So I hitched a ride on the boat when it was time to hit New York,
uh-huh.
and here I am with my presents, with the presents that are meant for the United States.
There you are.
So yeah, that was lucky, but unfortunately, I'll have to fly back. Given that one of the helpers wrecked the plane, I'll have to fly back with an airliner, probably going to be United. So it's a little less comfortable. You'll make it.
I mean, there's the Flying Dutchman. Yeah, they go overseas a few times per day. You be lucky to you'd be happy to
Exactly
take
right.
one
No,
really
I'm
fast.
I'm I'm
Yes,
definitely, I have to get back on time, of course, and it'll work.
definitely. Oh yeah. So a question: there are so many children in the Netherlands. How do you keep track of the Dutch children that are here, and how do you know where they live and what they want for a gift? How do you do that?
Well, there's this program in the Netherlands, a newscast. It's called Sinterklaas Journaal or the Sinterklaas newscast,
Mhm.
and through there's all kinds of links and places. The parents can actually fill out forms there to let me know where exactly they live, and that goes in. We're keeping up with the time, so we have a computer and a large database of all the children. And yep, that's how we keep track of them.
So you're digitalizing what used to be the big book. Is that
Correct.
just an
Well,
iPad
I,
today?
I still I still have a backup. Here it
Oh,
is.
okay. Uh-huh.
But I generally use it only for the events that I am at. So like tonight when I'm going to be here in Harrison in New York, I will actually use the book because,
Oh, actually,
sometimes those iPads, as they are called, sometimes they fail me. So I like to have a backup.
I see. So your book, just for the American kids watching, your book, is it like kind of similar to the naughty and nice list that Santa Claus has, or what's in the book? What kind of information can we find there?
It's similar. But it's more like some information on the children, how they do in school. You're right, if they're being nice, but we don't put too much emphasis on the naughty part. There are children after all, and they're supposed to be a little naughty now and
Uh,
then, as long as it's not too much.
okay, because there was when I was young, I remember my parents told me if you're naughty, they might take you to Spain someday. And as a kid, we found that terrifying scary. Nowadays, we say we wish he took us to Spain because, well, not bad there. But is that out of we
Correct.
don't do
No,
that
that's
anymore?
that used to be the tradition when the children were really, really bad. We would put them in one of our bags and
Hmm.
take them off to Spain to set them straight, so to speak, and
Hmm.
then of course return them to their parents. You can't take just
Okay,
abduct children, of course. But the times have changed and traditions have also changed with them.
that
So
is
we
true.
do that.
That's true. That is true. So speaking of changing times, how do you keep up with what gifts and what presents or what toys are cool nowadays? I mean, we have some kids in the Netherlands, and all of a sudden they ask for LOL dolls and smooshy and stuff I've never heard of. I mean, you've been in this industry for centuries. How do you keep up with the latest interesting and cool toys?
Well, that's actually thanks to the children themselves, because you're not part of the tradition. When they put their shoes by the fireplaces, we actually asked them to put their wish lists in there as well. So based on the wish list, and sometimes, again, through Sinterklaasjournaal.nl, the children can even put their wishes there. And but that is also how we keep up with what's hot and what's not.
I see. So we just got a question from Charlize, and she asked, "How do you get so many presents, so many gifts? Where do you get them?"
Ah, well, part of it is through wish lists, but we also ask the parents early on if there are specific things that the children like, and we order them ahead of time so that, because it is a lot, and
Mm.
it's almost like you probably have heard of Amazon.com. It is almost
Mhm.
like that. We have massive warehouses in Spain where we store presents. We take them on our boat to, when we go to Holland. And of course, this time they were in the belly of the plane, so not as many, but we managed to get most of them with us. So that's how we do that. We start early and prepare well, and and by the time, when the last wish lists have been put in the database, and we order last minute presents as well, but we always manage to get them on time.
That's great. So besides a lot of gifts, you also come with a lot of candy, like the real traditional candy, the pepernoten, the kruidnoten, the chocolate letters, the chocolate letters. What is your favorite, and how do you get them all the way from Spain or from the Netherlands here to the US?
Well, so here, my favorite. Let's start with that. I'm a chocolate lover, so
Uh,
the chocolate letters, those are my favorites. But as far as paper notes go, I have a big paper note factory in Spain. It is in the outskirts of Madrid, and we manufacture many, many tons of paper notes. However, sometimes we are some short, and then we buy them in the Netherlands, wherever they're being sold. Uh, the chocolate letters here in the United States, that's a nice story. We partnered with Lilac, the chocolate factory in Industry City in Brooklyn, and they make all our chocolate letters for us in the United States.
Oh, that's great. So the chocolate letters won't melt in the belly of the plane as you're traveling to the US or in your boat. So we get really good fresh chocolate letters. That's awesome.
Yeah, well,
And
let
Mhm.
me tell you something. In the belly of the plane, it's quite cold, so they won't melt
Oh, it
there.
is really.
Don't worry
I
about
never
it. But
luckily.
it's on the steamboat, it can get quite warm because it is steam.
I see.
So we farm them locally, as the saying goes.
Uh-huh. So just for our viewers, our audience, you can question in the chat if you want. Up here, we have where you get the gifts. We just already had that one. I have a few other questions for you. So, actually, there's a question from Fiona, and she asks, if you're in Spain and it's pretty warm in Spain, don't you get hot with the beard?
Oh, terrible! It's very itchy sometimes, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you watched Sinterklaas now and you saw that I got wet on the boat.
Mhm.
And that's actually how I keep cool. I love
Ah,
swimming and I love being in the pool. And then my beard gets wet, and when the water evaporates, it cools me down.
I see. That's pretty smart actually. So on Saturday there's gonna be the Sinterklaas feast, the big Sinterklaas party at the Samagundi Club. You're gonna be there for all the
Will be, yes.
and American kids for you to meet. What can they expect at the party? What's it gonna be like?
I will get there. Not sure yet how. Last year I had to take the I think the sea train, and it was quite an ordeal to get there. But I don't have my horse here, so I think there was a limo for me for this year. So I'll get there at Selgamdi. Worst comes to worst, you know, maybe a helicopter can drop me on the roof, and I will enter from upstairs.
Hmm. Hmm. All right, that's some ideas for the people of the NL Club and the Clock House to arrange that for you. Perhaps I think a helicopter would look really good. So you're in New York. You have very limited time here in New York before you have to get back to the Netherlands. But
Yes.
once you're in New York, what is your favorite place to be? And perhaps what is your favorite restaurant?
Ooh, restaurants. Usually we do takeout here. However, my absolute favorite place to be is the High Line. I Years ago, after it was partially completed, I managed to take a walk there, and it is phenomenal. I love the repurposing of that train track there. But New York, Manhattan doesn't really have bad places. And all the boroughs have their cool places. Yeah, a real favorite, like I said, the High Line was such a great way of sort of recycling the something that was not used anymore. That's my favorite if I have to choose one.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree. It's very beautiful. So just to make sure all the kids that are watching, all the kids in New York City, the Dutch kids, they can expect your visit somewhere soon, or they can come meet you, and like everybody's welcome, right? Dutch or American doesn't matter.
Correct, correct. And don't forget that the children can put their shoes by the chimneys and by the fireplaces
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
If the parents are watching, please help your children, pick out a good shoe, and maybe get some goodies for me to take back for the horse.
Uh,
But yeah, no, let them put their shoes out, and then who knows, there might be a little present in even before the party.
That's great. I think they're all gonna be very, very excited. I can only imagine as a kid how exciting it is to move to the US. But I would be a little worried that Sinterklaas might miss out on me or might forget that I have moved. But you keep a very close track on everything that's going on here. I noticed. So there's no more questions in the chat, and I know you're on a very tight schedule.
There was one last question
So
that I saw appear.
okay.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
which How do I know that the children are stout,
Oh,
naughty? So we have our people that will sometimes spy through windows and hear things or see things. And like I said before, of course you'd be a little naughty. That's not a problem for you children. But here's the one thing that I think is really important is that the children are not bad to their parents. because that I think is a big no. You have to respect your parents and you have to listen to them because you know they do know some things.
Hmm. All right. Well, I think the parents are going to be very happy with you saying that, and let that be very clear for the kids out there. Thank you so much, Sinterklaas. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great time in the US. Have a great part in New York on Saturday, and I wish you a very happy birthday on December 6th and very nice Pakjesavond on December.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
It
much.
was truly a pleasure speaking with you, and an honor to be able to reach so many people in one go. So for all the children watching and coming Saturday, bye. See you Saturday. And for everybody else, I'm sure we will meet again.